Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's class. You'll see me again switching back and forth, and it's because I'm trying to record on two different platforms. So tonight we're going to be talking about goal setting. What are goals? Why is it so important to set them? And how do you do it so that you have a higher chance of success? So it's pretty simple. The first thing we're going to look at is, what is a goal? Well, a goal is something that you hope to achieve. Okay. So it's fairly vague, right? It could be a car. It could be something that maybe a house. Maybe it could be a job. Maybe it could be, heck, it could just be the fact that you want to make X amount of money. Or maybe the goal is that you want to lift weights, or you want to start on a diet, or let's face it, school's coming up. So you want to set a goal to have good grades this marking period. Okay, all of those are what you hope to achieve, right? So then we can look at goals and say, well, how do we achieve them? First of all, they have to be specific. So when you write a goal down, you have to be very, very specific in how you write these goals. So these goals can't just be, I want to make $1 million. Okay, that's a start, but that's not a goal, right? If you wrote down, I want to earn $1 million in the next 10 years, well, now you have a little bit more because you have a time frame, right? You have what you want to achieve and you have a time frame. So you have those two options. So then we look at it and say, okay, well, how do we break that down? Well, we know that means you have to make $100,000 a year for the next 10 years, and then you'll earn $1 million. So we can look at it that way. And yes, that helps. But is that really achievable if you're an 18-year-old who doesn't even have a car yet? Right? Probably not achievable. Okay. Is it reasonable? Probably nowhere near reasonable, right? Is it measurable? Absolutely. You gave yourself a point of what you can measure. So it's definitely measurable. It's somewhat specific, right? And there's a time frame to it. So you get some of it, but you don't have everything. So you notice I'm using certain criteria, and it's called the SMART method. SMART method means that it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, or you're accountable to it. It's reasonable, and there's a specific time frame for it. So we can look at all of those things. And when you write a goal, you need to use all 5 of those. So let's write a goal for getting better grades. So let's say your current GPA is a 2.2 GPA. So just above a C, C minus, somewhere around there. And you want to be an A student. Well, is it reasonable and achievable, and you can hold yourself accountable to the fact that you can make it to a 4.0 by the next marking period? No, right? Not a cumulative 4.0. Could you make a 4.0 through those particular classes? Yes. And is it reasonable to expect that, looking at the fact that your cumulative GPA is 2.0 or 2.2? No, right? But it would be achievable and reasonable to say, I want to increase my cumulative GPA to a 2.75, right? Or I want to have a 3.0 GPA this marking period. Okay. So definitely that's the goal, right? But now you have to write it smartly. So you'd have to say, I want to have a 3.0 GPA at the end of this marking period by making sure I devote 4 to 6 hours a week on studying each individual class. Ergo, I have 6 periods of study that I need to improve. I will devote a minimum of 1 hour to each of these classes. Now, you know that, let's say you're in band or choir or something like that, and you know you do really exceptionally well in there. Great. So that one you're gonna say, I'm gonna devote half an hour, right? Or whatever you have been doing. And maybe math has been super difficult for you. And so you want to look at math and say, okay, well, I'm going to devote 2 hours a week or 3 hours a week to studying my arithmetic. Or maybe history is hard, and so you're going to look at that, and you're going to use that sliding scale. But you're going to make it achievable. You're not going to say, I'm going to spend 60 hours every week studying, because you're in school for, let's say, 7:30 to 3:30. So 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, that's 40 hours that you're in school, right? So you really can't say that you're going to study 40 hours a week on top of that. That's 80 hours. Yes, it's feasibly possible, but let's face it, if you've been a 2.2 GPA student, that's a huge gap to overcome. So just like when people want to drink more water, I don't expect them to drink half their body weight in fluid ounces of water if they've only been drinking 8 ounces of water prior, and they're a 300-pound person, so they have to drink 150 ounces of water, right? They've only drank 8 ounces. To get them to drink 150 ounces the very next day is not going to happen. It's not reasonable. It's not achievable for that person. But if that person said, okay, by the end of this year, I want to be drinking half my body weight in fluid ounces. And not saying 150 ounces, right? Even though they're 300 pounds, because they don't know what their weight's going to be at the end of that year. Fair? So you have to do it in smaller increments. You can't just put a lofty goal out. You have to have micro goals through that. And that's where I'm getting at with this. If we look at a marking period, great. Let's look at that marking period and say, okay, I want this goal to achieve a 3.0 from a 2.2, right? That's going up 8 points. Definitely a doable, but how are you going to get there? You've got to make it accountable. So now you have to put in those accountable things, like I'm going to study, like I said, an hour, maybe an hour and a half, whatever it is, per subject that you struggle. And per subject that you're really good, you're still going to put some time in, but you're only going to put maybe half an hour in. Okay? Or maybe 15 minutes in if you're exceptional at it, right? So those are the things that you look at. That helps you to take that measurable by saying the end of the marking period to reasonable by giving you steps to get there. Okay? You're specific because you give yourself an exact what you want. You're measurable because you have not only the time frame that you want it by, the goal of 3.0 that you want it by, and you have measurable amounts in there that you can hold yourself accountable that make it achievable by saying you want an hour here or an hour there or whatever. To be even more specific, as you might say, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I'm going to study 30 minutes, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to study 30 minutes on geometry. And Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I'm going to study 30 minutes on chemistry and what have you. So you're putting a couple hours in every day. Okay? That would be great. Write that as part of the goal. So if you write a goal down and it's one sentence, it's not a good goal. But if you write a goal down and it's a paragraph, now that's a good goal, right? As long as it's not a run-on sentence that doesn't make any sense. As long as it is specific, measurable, achievable, and you can hold yourself accountable. Reasonable, right? So taking somebody, like I said, 2.2 GPA and expecting them to have a 4-point GPA the very next semester, that's not reasonable. Their history has shown that that is not achievable, but let's work towards a better GPA. And if we know that really, that's a lofty goal of a 3-point GPA for that particular marking period. Not, of course, not an accumulative, but that marking period. If that's not reasonable, then make it a 2.5. Take steps that you know you can achieve that will help you reach that. It's huge to do that, okay? So you have it specific, you have it measurable, you have it reasonable, you have it accountable and achievable, and you set a specific time frame when you hope to achieve or when you hope to accomplish this. So that would be a really good goal, is to say, I want by the end of this marking period to have a 3.0 GPA overall of this marking period, including these classes, and I will do this by devoting X amount of time these days for these classes and X amount of time those days for those classes, as well as meeting with my teacher once every other week to make sure that there's any homework or questions that I have that I can get answers to. That sounds like a pretty darn good goal. Let's write a goal for water. I want to drink half of my body weight in fluid ounces. Okay, where are you at now? Well, I'm only at 16 ounces of water. Well, then that's not achievable, right? If you're 200, let's say you're 250 pounds, so you have to drink 125 pounds of water. That's a gallon, by the way. I mean, 3 ounces shy of a gallon. 128 ounces is a gallon. So, okay, so you want to drink a gallon of water. So maybe that's your goal, is a gallon of water. Maybe it's not half your body weight, okay? So when do you want to do that by? Well, if you're only drinking 16 ounces now and you want to do it by Thursday, no. But if you say, I want to increase my overall water intake by 16 ounces every other week until I reach 130 ounces of water per day, or 1 year from now, whichever comes first. That's fantastic, right? I will do this. We already put 16 ounces every other week. You're going to increase it. Well, if you do 16 ounces every other week, 16, 32, 48, then 64, and then it'd be 80 ounces. So you're going every other week. It's only going to take you a few months, maybe 4 months to get there. Okay. And it's very achievable. 16 ounces is just one of those little bottles that we get from Costco or what have you. So if you know you already drink one, well, you can set them out there, right? You can say, okay, how many 16-ounce glasses? So let's look at that. And we take, let me go to a calculator here, just so that I have it exact for you. We want to do 130 ounces divided by 16. So that's just over 8 of those. So 8 times 16 is 128. Okay, so you want to drink a gallon of water. It's going to be 8 16-ounce bottles of water. And that's very achievable to do. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, this week I only drink 1, but in 2 weeks I'm going to drink 2. In 4 weeks I'm going to drink 3. In 6 weeks I'm going to drink 4. You're halfway there, right? So you can set that up so that your goal is achievable, it's reasonable, it's measurable, it has a specific rate and time to it, and then you're good to go. So I hope this helps you out, and I hope you apply this with the upcoming school year, with the fall, and keep in mind when we're talking about water, people are more dehydrated in the winter than they are in the summer. So make sure you're getting plenty of water throughout your day. So I hope this helps. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm here to help. And as always, we'll see you later this week and early next week for your adjustments. Bye-bye.